What?
So guys, I woke up this morning and I
Says I got a concerning email by Aztecross about Destiny 2. Uh-oh.
saw this clip on Twitter, and this is such a good clip. Understand, guys, at the time, I was a diehard Halo fan and I loved Halo 3. There was going to be no reason I would ever stop playing Halo 3. And then we saw things like this live action trailer. And then eventually I saw my friends playing Halo Reach. The first time I saw someone use armor lock and other things, I was like, wow, okay, I got to give that a go. But before that began, it was the story, the narrative that really pulled us in. I loved how Halo Reach started. I loved that you had a squad called Noble Team, and one by one, they each got eliminated against impossible odds. And they made their way all the way to the end, successfully handing off Cortana to what would be the start of Halo 1. And then we had that final mission. It was storytelling like this.
The best final mission that is still to this day, I don't think I can say anything has beat. The fact that you got the objective pop-up as Noble Team Leader that just says survive. And it doesn't matter how long you survive that mission, or how many characters you, or how many fucking Covenant you killed, or how much ammo you burned through, you died. The mission didn't end until you fell. Now, according to the lore and a bunch of other people, Noble 6 survived. But, to be fair, we don't know that.
That showed us what Bungie was capable of, even beyond the Halos 1 through 3. We knew they were capable of doing that with that set narrative, but ODST and especially Reach really showed us what Bungie can do even outside of what was already laid out in front of them. So when we have campaign experience like we had last year with Lightfall and we were upset, yes, you've got your people out there white knighting and saying, no, it wasn't that bad, it wasn't that awful, but we've had great storytelling from Bungie before, and that's what we compare it to. Even in this day, I know 343 exists, Bungie people split off to go do that and work on Halo, but the reason why that benchmark is so high, it's not because we're comparing it to 343 or some other studio. We're comparing it to what Bungie themselves have already given us, and the final shape has got to be on that level. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because tomorrow we actually have a live stream from Bungie, which may be one of the most important live streams Bungie has ever done. And it's a live stream going over this new update called Into the Light. This is a free update for everybody. We don't really know what it is. We're assuming it may be some sort of horde mode. There's a lot of speculation. I speculated the other day a whole bunch on it, but this could be the start of getting that hype train going into the final shape. And that is vitally important for Bungie right now. We're actually going to be live watching it on Twitch ourselves and pretty much judging to see what it is Bungie has to show us. They're actually doing 3 live streams over the next 3 weeks that are going to go over everything for the Into the Light updates. And again, keep in mind, guys,
The neat part is in the lore, Noble 6 could have actually survived if he hadn't been cut off from the other surviving Spartans. Yeah. It wasn't bad. Well, it wasn't bad. I'm confused. Oh, did he say something about Lightfall being bad? I missed that while I was typing. Yeah, Russell, I've never played it. I've seen people play it, but it didn't grab my fancy enough, so I never bought it and played it.
They're mentioning that this is new content, and not only is it new content, but everything is going to focus on Into the Light. It's not like one of the live streams is going to be Into the Light, and then we're going to have a Vidoc of like what's coming in the final shape, and then some promo materials for the final shape. These next 3 live streams are going to be completely focused on Into the Light, which is incredible. And what that really boils down to is that having 3 live streams just to go over one update tells us that it must be a sizable update. And really, I wouldn't be surprised if we had like episodic content that was supposed to come out this time of the year anyways, just be moved up to this timeline. Whatever the case, new content is always welcomed inside of Destiny. And I hope we get to go to things like the Destiny 1 Tower again. It would be amazing to have actually a community event. You know, I talk about Helldivers, and I love that the developers at Arrowhead really pulls the community together to do events to unlock certain things. And Destiny and Bungie used to be the kings at that, but they haven't done that in a long time. But this takes us to the point of today's video. Why Bungie and Destiny literally needs to be flawless going into the final shape, and why the expansion itself needs to be better than even Forsaken. Forsaken is hailed as one of the greatest expansions Bungie has ever done. I even hail it as better than like the Taken King, and actually better than the Witch Queen. Forsaken needs to be the benchmark, and this expansion needs to exceed that benchmark. Now, there are a lot of folks out there that immediately defend Bungie. The moment we say anything negative, they're just like, yo, you're farming for engagement, and that's all you're doing. But guys, literally from Sony themselves, they are finding that Bungie needs to improve. We did a video a while back actually covering what the president of Sony actually had to say about Bungie. He stated, I visited the Bungie studios and had meetings with the management, and I saw that employees working in the studios were highly motivated, showing great creativity, as well as an impressive knowledge of live services. However, I also felt that there was room for improvement from a business perspective with regard to areas such as the use of business expenses and assuming accountability for development timelines. I hope to continue the dialogue and come up with some good solutions. Now, shortly after we made that video, I got an email, and not only did I get an email, but it hit pretty much all my inboxes, meaning it hit my inbox, it hit my agency's inbox, and then my individual agent's inbox, which means this person wanted me to see this email. Now, it's no surprise. I've talked to people that have worked at Bungie. I'm friends with people at Bungie. I love a lot of the developers that work at Bungie. But this email was concerning, and I wanted to share this with you guys. And I just want to know your thoughts on this. Hey there, I'm writing this on a throwaway. Please use this information to corroborate with other sources you may have. Internal perspective at Sony is very negative towards Bungie right now. It is...
Holy shit, he got a flat out like, oh no. Oh, yo, this is saucy. Wait a fucking minute. Oh, it starts out with internal perspective at Sony is very negative towards Bungie right now. Oh, fuck. Okay, wait, we gotta see this whole email out.
Seen as a failed investment, and strategies being discussed revolve around more of recouping losses. One internal leader from US is fighting to take over to right the ship, while many others across the Pacific want a much harsher method. The former US leader holds a lot of respect from overseas leadership, so it's likely he or she will get their way. That person's perspective is that there are many gluttonous executives at Bungie who are not doing their jobs and are hindering the organization. It is also believed that the workers are skilled, but the leadership is unable to perform their duties. Bungie is in a hard spot because pre-order numbers are lower than anticipated. I apologize, I do not have the details on actual numbers. Sony believes that the finances would not allow Bungie to avoid a takeover even with another round of layoffs, as that would cannibalize development and future revenue. Overall, Sony has been very upset at Bungie's leadership. They have not been able to successfully advise Sony teams, and while Lightfall hit internal revenue targets, every target since has been missed at an escalating decline. Bungie leadership regularly reschedules meetings with Sony leadership, knowing that the next time slot can be months away. I hope this sheds light for ongoings from Sony's side. It is believed that the takeover would allow Sony to turn Destiny into a more profitable game. This sounds bad, but it is being treated as lightning in a bottle. Sony leadership wants to nurture the game and understand that more aggressive monetization would not be healthy. There would be a monetization model switch, though, as it is believed the current model is too confusing. Damn right it is. The main difference between the US leader versus Japan leaders getting their way matters more for Bungie's in-development titles. If Japan leadership gets their way, teams for future titles will be gutted and reformed. So it's interesting, that last note right there. That's the main difference between US leaders.
I think he's focusing on the wrong piece here. I'm going to be 100% honest and unbiased here. From a perspective of someone who has been in management and is in that position to kind of oversee different aspects of businesses and what's working, what's not working, where changes need to be made, this is terrifying. The fact that they label these execs as gluttonous in Bungie, it is exactly what you guys think, in the fact of they are just sitting in their position and not doing anything.
Not necessarily.
They're not like, oh, I don't even know how to put it. Like, that's just the fact that you can label them as gluttonous is insane. It's exactly the idea of like the business. The execs are just there, just sucking up their salaries and doing nothing. That is a very scary, scary precedent. Yes, Sony owns Bungie. Well, owns. They are in a partnership, essentially, but Bungie did get essentially bought out by Sony. They came to a merger deal And there has been some rumors and some talks about Sony taking the wheels on things, because what's been happening is the fact that obviously Lightfall got a lot of flack, even though personally, me, Victoria, and everyone who played it on stream with me, we loved it. We thought it was great. We thought the fight with Callus was really good. We did the campaign several times over. We just did it all the way through with Zach, with EMP. We did the whole story with him, took him through it, explained a bunch of stuff, because the story in Destiny is great. It's fantastic. It's a thing that I get lost in terms of reading lore pages and reading lore entries, and I can never get myself to really take myself away from it. I always want to know more. I want to learn more. I want to connect the dots. But if this is someone from within Sony just flat out saying, the people who work at Bungie, like the lower tiers, the lower pegs of the ladder, they're doing what they're supposed to. They're motivated. They want to make it a great game. They want it to be good for the players. But then the higher ups and the execs are just not doing anything. The fact that it was stated just a second ago, where was it? Yeah, this right here. They've been very upset with Bungie's leadership. They have not been able to successfully advise Sony teams. Red flag number one. If you can't advise in a position like this, where like I've been in, you know, this hierarchy of management, if you can't advise and inform your fellow co-owners and stakeholders, you've already failed. Bottom line, you're a failure. And then they've not been able to, while Lightfall hit internal revenue targets, which is a good thing, don't get me wrong. So that means internally, on the inside of Bungie, they had revenue targets and they hit it with Lightfall. Great, good job. Externally, though, Sony looked to make more profit, and so they weren't able to meet that. And then they said every target since then has been missed at an escalating decline. So it's an exponential decline, which is very terrifying, because, I mean, we've already seen some of the rough numbers of pre-orders, even though they're not exact and it's not an exact science. Only roughly about 40,000 people have pre-ordered Lightfall. That's it. Meanwhile, there were nearly 1 million people, pre-ordered the Final Shape, whereas there was nearly 1 million people that pre-ordered Lightfall. That's a very steep change. I think Aztecross even made a video on that before. And like we said, it's not an exact science. The site that's tracking it is only tracking specific users that have been active for a certain amount of time. Blah, blah, blah. Right? But the fact that you can say that the numbers are that drastically different. Yeah, 2.2 million people pre-ordered and bought Lightfall. Only 400,000 have pre-ordered Final Shape. That is a drastic change between expansions. Oh yeah, no. They'll be kicked out. And that's what they're saying here at the end of the email, where they're saying that, like, if Japan gets their way, what Japan does is clean slate. The Pacific, like, companies are very, very strong-willed whenever it comes to, they will gut everyone. They will fire all of you and restart. They don't care how long it takes to train. They don't care how long it delays the game. They don't care how long it delays content. And even if they don't want to delay content, they're going to hire people and work them into the dirt to get it the way they want. Japan leadership is very, very strict. So that's where apparently there's some favor to the US side. So there's some favoring there internally that is working against the Japanese leadership to take it over, just to give some, like, insight on, like, some of the conversations I've been a part of. So that's a good thing, because that means, you know, the people we know and love in the Destiny community and the devs we're used to seeing won't be just flat out gutted and kicked out and we never see them again. But also a very, very scary thing is that they say that they don't see a way to fix it even with another round of layoffs. They laid off around 1,000 employees. I think it was either 100 or 1,000. I think it was close to 1,000, because there was a lot of people that left and got kicked out. But the fact that you can't see a way to make profit even doing that means these execs have been draining Sony's pockets. Literally. And so this is a bad state. This is really bad. That's what I say. I am a full supporter of if leadership is not doing their job and I am part of leadership, cut them. Demote them. Do something with them. Just do something else. Like, fire them, put somebody else in there who's motivated, who's, been working at the company for a while, who has brand new insights, a fresh mindset, a fresh look, fresh eyes. Do it. Don't be afraid to do it, because no matter how much the game could change, everything about businesses like this is taking a risk, and that's what Bungie needs to do. Or Sony at this point is what it sounds like. Sony just needs to pull the plug, cut the line, move on. Like,
I don't think they know how to play.
Understand that more aggressive monetization.
Sorry, let me move forward a little bit.
Getting their way matters more for Bungie's in-development titles. That means for Marathon and for Gummy Bears. If Sony takes over, they could literally go in there and either, restructure or outright just gut those teams.
Yep.
Or maybe move everyone onto Destiny. It's interesting, too, that they mentioned that they treat Destiny as lightning in a bottle, which I would actually say that's accurate. I mean, think about what Destiny is. It really is that. The game should have died multiple times, and yet it continues to survive. And yes, we have hit many lows, especially this past year, but I do believe that the game has lots of legs, especially after the most recent updates to things like skimmers and the sandbox updates. I'm loving it. I've been playing more Destiny than ever before. And if Into the Light has anything to show for it, that may be the update that
Filing for abandonment.
Oh, I tried.
Oh, yeah. Oh man, so here's the thing, right? I've been very 50-50 on this, and maybe you can give me, or anyone in chat, you Jiggle or anybody else that's in here, like, you guys can give me your opinion, right?
It's okay.
So I'm gonna let you in on a little bit of like me, right? So as I talked about earlier in the stream, again, I'm still jobless since October. It's really unfortunate and it sucks. But however, let me be honest. I don't know why I'm doing this, because I have them saved, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, you can see on the side I have some recently viewed jobs. However, let me be real with you. I have a couple of positions here that are with Bungie. And I have been tempted to put in my application and put in my resume. Even though, personally, I don't think it's a smart idea, only for a couple of reasons. One, the layoffs that happened. It's scary to do that. It's scary to look at a job that just laid off a bunch of people and go, yeah, let me go try and make a difference. Because I could just be putting myself in a position and shooting myself in the foot and going right back to where I am now and being jobless in a few months, which is scary. But I have thought about it, because I'm in a desperate spot, to be honest. I don't get any more unemployment benefits. I've been selling off some stocks that I still have to make up any kind of money to keep on paying my bills right now. And that's why, like I said earlier in the stream, I may seem a bit more sell-outy on the stream, but that's because this is genuinely, besides this, and if I get any voice acting gigs, the only way I have any income. It's sad to say, but it's something that I have to be humble about and just admit. But maybe you guys can give me an idea. Bungie's not a smart choice right now. Yeah. I've never held management position, but it is even very much common sense. Yeah, and I mean, it really is. And I mean, it's an honest, I don't see it as a wrong decision. Let me just put that out there right now. From having 6-ish years of going through being the bottom of the barrel employee and moving all the way up to management, this is not a wrong choice. There are some decisions that I choose or that I decide are wrong. Like, I personally believe Riot's decision to lay people off incorrect. Because what I saw in Riot's statement about laying people off,
in order.
sorry if she's if you can hear her, but let me be real. Riot's decision to lay people off because they took on too many projects and too many risks, that is your own fault. As leadership, it is your responsibility to take accountability for that being a wrong decision, and that should not punish your employees. That should not punish your workforce. That should not punish your work environment, because they worked on the chances that you took. Just accept that you're going to have a bad year. Just accept that you're not going to hit revenue targets. Move on. Try again next year. I don't like this
I'm
habit
older.
that companies seem to have made, which is that when they start having bad years, it's time to lay people off and punish them for it. Even though the only directive they had was to work on the thing that I, as leadership, decided to take on as a chance. Now, for Bungie's sake, not their decision. I 100% believe that Bungie did not make that choice, even though they take the accountability as leadership should, or as the company should, as taking accountability for what happened. I believe that was Sony's call. I believe that the lever was pulled by Sony to be like, nope, you gotta get this many people out to make it up. If you have too many projects, they'll either work on certain projects in very early stages and other until completions, and then just utilize the manpower. And that's what Aztecross was kind of getting at, where like Japan will take all of the resources that they have put for whatever Gummy Bears is, because I know Gummy Bears is just the code word for that game, and then they will take all of the resources that are set aside for Marathon that we know are already set aside for Marathon, and they'll just consolidate. Everyone stop what you're doing. Everyone work on Destiny. Everyone get in this meeting. We're going to figure it out. We're going to take new ideas. We're going to work on them. Go. What I am interested in, though, and I think is the most interesting takeaway from this email, is we were scared of Sony taking over, right? But Sony has just said from this internal source that we obviously can't know about because they probably weren't supposed to spill anything. We know that Bungie wants to do two things. Bring the game back to its former glory and change the monetization system. How many times have we talked about Bungie's predatory as fuck monetization system? They said it was too confusing, and probably is snuck in there somewhere that it's too predatory. Can you imagine if we had a different monetization system in Destiny, a consolidated one, possibly a cheaper one? The game would be fantastic. People would come back in droves. But the fact that, like, there is a very clear wall between executives and Sony, and it's like, you go all the motivated people and all of the workers, executives are the wall, and then here's Sony. Sony's trying to make everything better. And then the workers want to make the game better. They want to make the company better. They want to get their reputation back. We know where the wall is. So consolidate and hopefully cheaper monetization will bring me back into the fold for sure. Exactly. And that was the thing. I hated, and I still hate the fact that if I go to this DLC page, just flat out, right? Some stuff is still on sale because they were getting so much shit, right? Why the fuck is Witch Queen $30? Why is Witch Queen $30 fucking dollars? Why? That's a 2-year-old expansion. It's been 2 years. Granted, if you pre-ordered it, you spent $100 on it. But $30 2 years later? Beyond Light is $30 4 years later? Shadowkeep is $25 4 years later? Like, it's $70 just to catch up on the story you missed. And then another $100 for the final shape, which, granted, I already paid for a long time ago, and I'm not going to refund it because I still am truly excited for the final shape. The new supers we're getting look fantastic. The darker exploration we're about to go on that looks very gothic and like body horror-ish. I'm so down for in Destiny. They do horror and stuff really well. But this shouldn't be this fucking expensive to get someone into the game. If I want to bring someone into Destiny, things that are at least 2 years old should not be costing money anymore. End of story. And that's how I feel. That's how I feel. With a live service game, stuff that is 2 years old plus should not be costing people any amount of money. Honest to God.
There's a chart right there.
I would rather you get to play something that maybe you missed out on for free. Because one, guess what? I know internal KPIs, and especially for the game industry, right? I know internal KPIs, and one of them is playtime. If I try to bring in new players, How much playtime do you think I'm going to get if they go, oh, I've got so much story to catch up on. I've got so much gameplay to get to. I've got so many guns, like specifically to Destiny. It's a looter shooter. I've got so many guns and weapons and armor and stuff that I didn't get to have because I wasn't playing at the time. Can I go back and play it?
Wait, what a cutie.
No, you can't. You wanted to play the Black Armory stuff? Nope, it's not in the game anymore. It's in the content vault. Oh, you wanted to play Beyond Light so that you can get the first dark subclass, which was Stasis? You pay $25.
Yes, but
Or no, $30. It's at $30 out of your pocket right there. Oh, you want to play the next expansion after that because you left off on a cliffhanger? Another 30. Like, why? Why? I mean, I could see that to an extent, Jiggle, but I also understand, even like, if I'm being realistic from a business point of view, I understand why they do, to be fair. That's just me. I understand the business model a little bit. Like, I get it. A lot of games do that where they add more story without draining people's wallets. But in all honesty, yeah, like, we understand, but we don't like it. And that is something, especially if you ever choose to go into management, Jiggle, keep that mindset where you have to understand why it is there, but you don't have to like it. That is 90% of my job in management, is to not only understand that, but explain that and adhere to that. Because the thing is I don't get to make those decisions most of the time. And even when I do, my boss doesn't allow me to make the decision I want to make. So then I have to accept that it's going to stick and why it's there. And then I have to be able to make everybody agree to it. It's annoying as shit, but you never get away from it. And so, like, I understand why it's there, but that's also why it's so frustrating that all the rest of their monetization is predatory. Because here's how I see it too, right? The new thing that's happening, whoever made the decision, bless them. The fact that everyone got the skimmer for free, which, by the way, Jiggle, if you have not gone and done any of the Guardian game stuff, please do. The new vehicle, the skimmer, which is the hoverboard, is here. It's a great vehicle. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy using it a lot. It's different from a Sparrow, and it feels fantastic. Make sure to get that before it's gone, please. That was the one. That is, if you're gonna play Destiny at all, then I would say do that. But the fact that, and also the fact that, like, you got the skimmer for free, so you didn't have to do anything but play the game, and then, like, the last couple of collaboration packs have had a free aspect to them. So, like, the ship, the Sparrow, and the Ghost Shell are all free, and then the actual outfits are worth money. Cool, fine. I get that. I promise I do. But here's the problem, right? If you made all of your previous expansions free, and I didn't spend $30 here, $30 there, $25 there, that's 3 expansions, right? And I'm not even there yet, because guess what? Lightfall still costs $40. That's over $100 in people. That's $100 you could have made, right? How much playtime is that lost if people just don't pay for it? I can tell you right now, it's hundreds of hours. Hundreds of potential hours that your KPIs have just tanked. Because if I don't want to pay $100 to play the previous story, I don't have to. You know what happens if I don't have to? I don't play the game. I don't learn all of this magical stuff that happens in the Destiny universe. I don't get the motivation to keep playing. I don't get the motivation to keep doing things over and over again, dungeons over and over again, get all these collectibles, learn more lore, learn more of the story, be more involved. All of that's out the window. If I don't have to pay for that stuff, and I give you 200 hours of playtime playing through all of that stuff, possibly doing dungeons and raids over and over again to get an exotic that I want, giving you more hours, more time, possibly more money if I find some cosmetics kind of cool, and I spend $10 here and there. Then you ask me to pay $100 for the final shape to get the exotic early, to get the cosmetics early, all of that stuff. How more willing do you think I am as a consumer and as a gamer when I didn't have to spend $150 to catch up to pay $100 for the next part of the story. And I mean, that's fair, Jiggle. That's what I'm saying. Since it is a free part of the game, I've been telling everybody, go get the skimmer. It's so much fun. Having a fucking hoverboard in Destiny, are you kidding me? That's sick. But you don't have to if you don't want to. It's completely your own choice. I haven't been able to enjoy a single dungeon in the fucking game because of how they monetize them. Yeah, I still don't agree with that. $20 for a dungeon key is fucking ridiculous. But then, let me rebuttal with only one thing. If it were where from Shadowkeep until now, you didn't have to pay the money to catch up. You didn't have to pay for dungeon keys to play the previous dungeons, right? All of that stuff was free. Free to play right now. As soon as you log on, you're a brand new player. Then I hit you with the new expansions coming. You can either pay $50 or $60, whatever it is. I think it's $50 for just the base stuff. You get the storyline, you don't get any of the dungeons, whatever. Or the $100 version where I give you all of the story, I give you all of the dungeons, you never have to pay for one, and you don't have to pay for any of the season passes that come within Final Shape. How willing are you to spend that $100?
But that only requires you to be fucking...
Because what I'm doing is you can either pay the $50 and then pay the $10 and $20 here and there for everything, or just pay $100 and get all of it. Every piece of it. You never have to spend the rest of your money for a while. And that's at a $100 investment that, by the way, I think I purchased... Let's see. I can give you the exact date. I purchased it on August 22nd of 2023.
I mean, they love me. So
it has been almost a year since I have spent that $100. I haven't spent any other money in Destiny 2. We're not going to count other games because, well, I also haven't been able to spend much money anyway because, frankly, I'm broke. But I invest $100 6 months prior, then I don't have to spend extra money later. It's just, they don't have, it's like the executives and everything they don't keep up with the consumers anymore. That's why, I will be honest, the finals is doing it perfectly, in my opinion. For two reasons. Their cosmetics are out of this world. They are top tier in cosmetics right now for me. I love all of the cosmetics, especially in Season 2 that just dropped. Flawless. Absolutely great. But here's the kicker too. All of the cosmetics from Season 1 and all of the cosmetics that are not on the storefront anymore can still be purchased. They're still there.
I mean, things get real.
Because what if you're not in a good position? What if your job doesn't pay you very well? You can't afford it now, but you want to afford it in a couple of weeks or in a couple paychecks. Guess what? It's still there for you when you log in 2 months later. You just spend the money that you have available now, and guess what? You got the cosmetic set that you always wanted. Good shit. A content vault does nothing but feed exclusivity and also kind of ruin the experience for new players because they can't catch up. They can't get their fill. They don't know what happened. They don't know what this reference is. They don't know this. They don't know that. Like, it's just removing more from the player experience, and I can't get behind it. But that is my opinion. Content vaulting just feeds FOMO? Exactly. And that's where the predatory part comes in. There's the FOMO and then the monetization. So then you're stuck in this position of, can I afford it? Not really. But if I don't afford it, and if I don't fork over the cash, then I'm going to miss out. And I don't want to miss out. So then they fork over the money, you put yourself in a shitty position, and we go on with our lives. They make more money, just prey on you more, steal your money, and before you know it. Yeah, it's awful. I hate it. I hate that shit.
That really sparks everything back for everyone that is taking a break from Destiny. Now listen, should I truly trust this email? I don't know, guys. I will say, whoever it was, they wanted me to see this email. And I wouldn't be surprised if other creators have actually gotten this email. But it is oddly specific in certain areas. And it seems like someone, if they did write this email, they had a very good tap on the pulse of what we would assume would be the pulse of Sony and Bungie's relationship. I would say the other really interesting thing about that email was this comment right here. One internal leader from US is fighting to take over to right the ship, while many others from across the Pacific want a much harsher method. The former US leader holds a lot of respect from overseas leadership, so it's likely he or she will get their way. Now, I don't know who they're talking about here. We do know that we have a new game director for Destiny 2, but it could be anyone. It could be someone on the board. It could be someone that we never even heard of.
Since this seems to be a Sony internal employee, I would assume it's a Sony executive. Because they're saying they're fighting for the right to take over and right the wrongs. I could see how that could be interpreted as a Bungie exec, but this sounds like someone from the Sony side, so I wouldn't assume that they have a pulse on the Bungie side. So I'd assume there's a Sony exec fighting to take over. And it could be Tyler. It could be Tyler Green. It could be him trying to fight for his shot because he just got slotted in. Joe just left as game director, and I think Tyler is his name. Tyler Green just got slotted in. So I could see that he's fighting for his shot, which is fair. He should. Absolutely. If you're slotted into a position out of the blue, kind of like how it was, or at least it was out of the blue to us whenever Joe announced it, you need to give them a shot. And in this current situation, you may not get a very good time frame. You may get a couple of months, a couple of weeks. Who knows? But that's just what we have to see. But yeah, the Sony exec makes more sense to me, but we'll see.
It could be someone even outside of Bungie. You know, Tyson Green is now the game director for Destiny 2 now, and he does have a lot of seniority, but I don't know if he's that guy, if he's that US leader that they're talking about.
Right.
Now, as far as the pre-order numbers, you know, we saw that article from Destiny Bulletin not that long ago, going over the pre-order numbers and saying that they are drastically lower. And there was a lot of conflict there. You know, essentially, we don't know if these numbers are accurate or not, but I will say from my own inner circles, you know, I've got a doctor. He's been playing Destiny for years. I go and I visit him. And look, even he is saying like, yo, I'm not going to be picking up the final shape until after I've seen gameplay and seen the expansion out for at least a week. So like my internal friends that normally always come back for the annual expansion, because they felt like they got burnt so bad with Lightfall, they're actually sitting back and they're just waiting. They're waiting to see, is Final Shape going to wow us? And not only are they waiting to see that from a Vidog or from a trailer, but they're also waiting from just seeing the gameplay and the expansion launch itself. Because normally when
which is being smart about your money. Can we just say it's just being smart about your money? That's it. That's it. That's all it is. It's what consumers do. If they get burned, they're more safe with their money. So you have to plan for that. You have to be prepared for that. You can't just expect the numbers to be the same if the universal sentiment was that the last one was not that great. So we can't mark this as a bad thing. We can't mark this as an omen because it's just consumers doing what consumers do. It's them. They got burnt whenever you put them in that rock and a hard, in between that rock and a hard place of I can't really afford it, or it's very dangerous to afford it because I don't know what I'm getting yet. And then, well, you're going to miss out if you don't. And then you force them to pay that money, and then they feel like they get burned or that the money wasn't worth it, and then you're fucked. So what they're going to do next time is go, I'm put again in between this rock and a hard place. I'm going to stay on this side this time. I'm going to wait, and we're going to see what happens. That's just called the flow of the river. You've got to play with it. You've got to be prepared for it. Now, if Bungie internally, as it sounds, is not very keen on that or very versed with consumer habits, then that's on them.
Expansion rolls out, it's like, okay, we're in the heart of the expansion, we're driving to the story, and we always kind of wait till the end of the raid before we start making a call on the expansion. And that's what happened in Life. I was like, all right, the campaign wasn't great by no means, but maybe we're going to get a raid experience on the level of Vow. And of course, we did not get that experience with Root of Nightmares. But just from my own inner circles and just my friends that interact with the real world, they are all taking a step back and waiting to see what the Final Shape has to offer. Now, I think the question we need to ask ourselves now, and this is really the whole point in this video, would a Sony-owned Bungie really be that bad? Or would a Sony-owned or ran Destiny be that bad? One of the big things that I noticed in this email was the point that they made about Destiny itself being lightning in a bottle. That Sony leadership wants to nurture that game. I didn't mention anything else about Marathon or any of the other titles, but the fact that they're specifically dialed in on Destiny and they recognize what Destiny has to offer and its uniqueness, that speaks volumes. And it makes me wonder, would Sony...
That is because of two major components with Destiny. No matter how much you may hate the game, no matter how much you may hate Bungie, no matter how much you may hate the situation that the game is in, there are two things that would make executives look at Bungie like that. Number one, how many times have you heard, oh, this is the Destiny killer? And the game that's supposed to kill off Destiny dies off first. I'll give you one example. Anthem. Anthem. Anthem was supposed to be the Destiny killer. I even put hundreds of hours, well, I think 80 hours or something into Anthem, finishing the story. It was great. I loved it. I still enjoy that game. I hop on every now and again just to relive that nostalgia and play my javelins that are still in there. What was it called? The First Descendant was supposed to be a Destiny killer. I haven't heard about that game in months. Just to be fair, this game survives the test of time. It's been alive for almost a decade. Just what you got to do. It is a gem that needs to be nurtured so that you can hold on to it and keep that revenue flow incoming. And second, they're going to pump their resources and their focus into a game that has lasted 10 years instead of Marathon that they don't even know will make a good impression out the door because people can't trust Bungie with Destiny. These are just very common things. They're signs that are in your face. I just poked myself in the eye. Don't clip it, chat, please. Oh, fuck. Anyway, recovering. The first what? The first point. Did it cut out? My bad. I hit myself in the eye really hard. Anyway. Either way, outside of that too, they're very clear signs of why they would want to nurture the game.
Sony running things actually be better for Bungie. Now, we have to ask the question, would it also be better for the developers themselves? I don't know. And I guess we would have to just look at the track record with Sony and other development studios. At least from what I've seen outwardly looking in and some of the people that I know in the industry, Sony's been pretty good with them. You know, they give a lot of creative...
The First Descendant, I think is what it was called. Let me double check. Yeah.
I can
This was supposed to be the Destiny killer. You've never heard of that game? Well, there you go. Yeah. So the First Descendant was supposed to be a Destiny killer. It's essentially Destiny and Warframe mashed into a game.
Freedom. They want the games to be good. And it kind of goes against what Bungie's original pitch was in their DDC years ago, which was the whole thing of, hey, don't over-deliver. I know, a lot of people are saying things got taken out of context there, but that is a bold stance to take, especially if your game is on the decline. Now, whatever the case, whether the pre-order numbers are as low as people think they are, or whether this email is completely fabricated, really, none of it matters, because tomorrow, everything that we're going to be shown into the Light update, that's going to be one of the things that will start or kill the hype going into the final shape. Dude, if this reveal stream turns out to be terrible and Into the Light is some like garbage public events, oh boy, that's going to be rough, man. And so I hope whatever it is Bungie has to show us is going to be enough here. Not only for the sake of Destiny, but for Bungie themselves. So guys, that's everything I wanted to talk about. Let me know in the comments below what you think. We'll be live tomorrow if you want to join us. Yes, we're going to be watching this entire live stream, looking at it. We'll see if we get another 2 tokens in a blue situation happening for us. It'll be a good time. So come join us. Fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching. And as always,
slap that like button like your
That's a really old joke. That's a really old joke. 2 tokens in a blue, man. Holy fuck. That's crazy.